Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So today we're looking at Die Cutting Essentials. This is issue 85 and the free gift with this magazine is called Build a Flower Die Set. So in here we've got 3 different items. We have got 3 different sized flower dies in here. We've got a whole bunch of stamens as well, so we can create some really realistic looking flowers, and it does come with 4 sheets of foam that you can use to create your flowers. So the 4 colours we've got is red, pink, kind of a creamy colour there, and we have green as well. So you can use your dies here, like I said, die cut it from this foam and use your stamens, and that will create some super realistic flowers for you. So if you look in the magazine itself, it has got some instructions on how, or some hints and tips rather than instructions on how you can create these flowers. So it's talking about die cutting, how you can shape them. So you can either use a heat tool, which I think is what we'll do today, and sort of roll it up in your fingers. Alternatively, you can use a very warm iron on a non-steam setting to get that kind of more realistic shape in. Then just poke a hole in the centre of the flowers. You can pop some stamens in, and that is going to then give you that super realistic flower. Let's have a look at some of the inspiration actually using these flowers. So these are by Christina Griffith. So we've got 4 cards here using these flowers. We've got some really beautiful script sentiments there as well with those shadow dies. I really like those. So she's used then the different colours for the flowers and then the green foam to create some leaves. So if you've got like a leaf die in your stash, that's going to be perfect to go with these. But again, just some really different kinds of cards, and you can see just how effective these flowers can look. So Sandra here has created some home decor. So we've got like door hangings, we've got a mini gift box. So she's added some glitter around the edging of those flowers just there. We've got just a home sweet home little plaque. We've got a brooch there as well. And this is a really great way if you want to have a go at creating more realistic flowers. This is a really fantastic way to kind of see what it's like, see how you sort of get on with it before kind of investing like heavily into sort of creating foam flowers. We've got a flower bucket there. Again, just some really easy home decor. So let's take a look at what comes in next month's issue. So this we have here is called Spring Leaves. So this is a mix and match Spring Leaves die set. So you can see it here. We've got some leaves in there. We've also got 39 papers and some sentiments to download as well. I really love sort of the colour scheme they've got for these 3 cards here. I'm really excited to see how they've created those. I think they look absolutely brilliant. That goes on sale on the 27th of January. So before we get into creating some flowers with our Build a Flower die set, I just want to show you, so if you have got this magazine, it's already come out in the shops and on subscription, so maybe you've already seen it. These 3 cards here are 3 of my cards I made for commission for this magazine, which I'm really excited about. So they've put 3 of the 5 cards, I think it was, on the cover here, so that's really exciting. So I just want to show you these in the magazine themselves. So I used the Altenew stencil and die set to create all of these cards. So this is the Altenew Bountiful Butterflies. You've got the stencil builder and of course then a coordinating die to go with it. So I created a slimline card there. We've got this with a chevron kind of background there. So using the stencil with those dies, creating like a fun background. So I white heat embossed the background and then ink blended some yellow ink over the top of it. These ones here, so I used both of the stencils to create a kind of gradient background for this, and then this one here, the butterflies, I heat embossed with some pink embossing powder and then just stenciled that background. So I really enjoyed using this stencil and die set, so I'm definitely going to be creating another video for you guys and we can have a look at what else we can create, and I can kind of show you the products in a little bit more detail. So that was just a little commission that I had in this issue of Die Cutting Essentials, but for now let's get into creating a card with our Build a Flower die set. So I've taken all of the items out of the packaging. So I've got my 3 sized flower dies here. I've got my stamens and my foam as well. So I'm going to start off by just creating 2 of the flowers just to kind of show you how you can use this foam to create these flowers. Of course, you don't have to just use the foam. If you want to create flowers just from some patterned paper, you can do that. From some coloured cardstock, you can use your inks. You know, this is a really great opportunity to use some of the mediums that you have in your stash already to create some you know, whether they're realistic or, you know, just completely out there, you can create some really beautiful flowers. So I really just wanted to show you how to sort of create these flowers to begin with. So I'm going to start with the red foam. So you can see here I've taken all 3 of these dies. I've just used a little bit of washi tape here, or sort of low tack tape, just to keep the dies in place. And I'm going to run this through my Gemini mini die cutting machine. So this of the biggest size will fit through this mini machine. So that's perfect. I don't need to get out my big Gemini or my big plates or anything like that. And of course then the 2 smaller ones are of course going to go through. So what I like to do when I am die cutting is to chop down my paper, so I can fit it into my smaller die cutting machine. It just makes things so much easier. So this went through really easy through the die cutting machine. It's cut through this foam fantastically. If you do really love using the foam, you can buy inexpensive foam packs, you know, from places like The Works, The Range. They do big kind of multi-packs. It's used, I guess, more for like children's crafts, but there's nothing to stop you from using it for creating cards and projects. You can add a little bit of ink to these. I didn't personally, but I think these would look really great, a little bit more realistic if you did add some ink to this, just to give it a little bit more depth. But you can see there I've just die cut the 3 of those. I'm taking my sort of precision or reverse tweezers here, so when you squeeze them they open up. You want to be really careful with this. Of course the heat tools do get hot. I have the Sizzix. This is a dual setting heat gun, so this does get really hot. I've got this on the hottest setting, so setting number 2. You can see that I'm holding it with my tweezers, but of course because it is foam, it is going to kind of flop around a little bit, so please do be careful. So you can see I'm trying to get my fingers kind of out of the way here. All I did was run this heat all over this foam, so I didn't try to keep it in one area for too long. I didn't want to kind of burn the foam or anything like that. But what I should have done, and what it does tell you in the hints and tips as I read out the beginning of the video when I was looking through the magazine, was to then kind of mold it after you've heated it up, is to mold it straight away. So what I did here was I kind of heated up all 3 of these pieces, sat them down, went on to the next one, and then I did try to kind of mold it afterwards. It did struggle a little bit more because of course it had kind of cooled down by the time I got, you know, to the last one, but all I did then was just try to kind of mold it with my fingers, just to give it a little bit more shape. The shapes themselves, especially with the second flower that I made, it did kind of went a bit funny, but I suppose, you know, you just keep working it until you kind of get that shape that you want. So that big flower, it kind of curled in sort of from a center point. So I am going to kind of have a play with these and sort of see if we can get a slightly better shape. So again, I'm going to heat it up. So as far as I'm aware, you can reheat this as much as you need to. Obviously, again, just keep it moving. Don't hold it kind of too close, but I would definitely heat it up and then kind of work it. Another way that you could add some shape to these flowers is by using one of those kind of shaping tools. It's sort of a almost like a pen, if you like, sort of the body to it, and it's got 2 different size balls on the end of it. I had a look through my tools and my stash and I couldn't actually find one, so I'm literally just using the end of my pokey tool. So it has got sort of a round end, you can see there, and I'm just rubbing it all over the flower itself. So again, if you had the proper tool, the shaping tool, this would work a lot better, but I'm just kind of using what I've got, and that's exactly what you can do. I've got this little foam pad. I think this came with my sort of die brush to help you get kind of the little intricate pieces out of any sort of dies. So this really helped to kind of allow you to shape it a little bit better. But you can see I'm literally just rubbing the end of this because it's curved over those flowers, and it did just kind of help give it a little bit more shape. So once I was happy with kind of the basic shapes that I got, I need to kind of start assembling this together. I did actually die cut a second one of the largest size. I felt like it needed something a little in between size between the largest and the middle size. So I just die cut this. So, but don't forget, you can sort of do this as many times as you like and have as many layers as you want. But now I need to create a hole to put my stamens through. So what I did is took my pokey tool again and I picked a center point from the largest, and you can see I've just got it sat there on my pokey tool, so I can kind of get all of these holes kind of lined up nicely, but you can see I'm putting that middle one on there, and you can see how this flower is going to come together, and that's how it's going to look. So if you are going to sort of experiment, I would, you know, have a go at just creating one of each layer to begin with, one of each size, and then start experimenting and kind of making them bigger and fuller. I really love how this red one turned out. So now for the stamens, the easiest thing to do is to grab a little bunch. So you don't need too many of these because they are double-ended, and literally just fold them in half. So you have all of the ends at one end and you've got a loop at the other. This is going to create a fuller center for your flower, and you're not sort of using as many. I think the packaging said there was 50 in here, so this is going to last you quite a while, but you can see I only picked up a small handful of them here, and like I said, just doubled them over. And you know, you've got a really full sort of center. And don't forget as well, you could add some color to these as well. I've kept mine white just because I'm having sort of a go at this, I'm having a play. So before I kind of get too adventurous, I'm just keeping it very basic, but you could absolutely add some color, some spray, some inks to these, just to again make it more realistic or to have something completely different. So I did find this a little bit fiddly. So my pokey tool, of course, if you have one, you'll know that it's not particularly thick. I do end up bringing out sort of a point that's got a thicker diameter on it, because what you need to do is thread these stamens through the holes that you've created. I tried to do them sort of all at once. That didn't quite work for me personally. Again, this is the first time I'm trying it. So I decided to kind of take it apart, and I did it kind of one by one. So you can see that I'm really trying to push these through without wrecking the foam itself. And I end up using a combination of kind of my pokey tool, again, this tool, which is just a bigger diameter, sort of pokiness to it. And that kind of helped. You can see it's just coming through this first layer. And all I did then was pulled it right the way through, so I just had the stamens to the very end pieces, you know, looking like it's coming out of the middle, and then I had all the rest of it out of the back. And then I'm just going to work my way through all 4 of these foam pieces, and I'm going to get those stamens all the way to the end. So I've just got in my last piece, and I'm just kind of trying to even them out a little bit. You can see that I've got a couple which is standing up a little higher than others. Of course, you can leave it like this. It's completely up to you how you want this to look. I'm just kind of using my poker tool again. I'm looking at these loops, trying to work out which one I need to kind of pull to get them to look kind of as even as possible. But again, you can just kind of play with it to get the kind of look that you want. And this is then kind of my finished flower. And again, adding that second layer of the biggest die, I think has made a real big difference here. So the next thing to do, really important, is you need to then get your stamens to stay in place. This will hold your whole kind of flower together. I'm just using some real basic glue here. So this is the Premier Craft glue, nothing special. If I was you, I would use something a little bit stronger, a little bit more. In the magazine, it tells you to get out a heat gun. I do have one, but it's usually packed away. So I just kind of grabbed, you know, what I had lying on my desk. But for my second one, and to actually adhere them onto the card we're going to create, I used some of the Premier Craft construction glue. It just ended up being, it's just a bit more of a tougher glue. You can see here that I did try to heat set it, but I thought that's going to mess up the kind of shape of the flower that I've got. But that is how you create this really basic version of this flower. So now we're going to create a really quick and simple cards using these flowers. So, you know, you can use this in lots of different ways. There's loads of inspiration in the magazine, but of course you can pop them onto a card. It's going to add a lot of dimension, so you need to think about that if you are popping this through the post, because obviously these are very dimensional flowers here. But what I've got is just some bright white cardstock here from Tonic Studios, and I've popped that through an embossing folder just to give me a really basic background. And the card I'm creating, this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So again, I just want to show you from the different size perspective of, you know, if you create these flowers, kind of how small you can go with it. I did use some of the green foam, and I used one of the Stampin' Up! Forever Flourishing dies, just for a little bit of green foliage in that background. I think this is going to work really nicely. And then off camera as well, I did create another flower using kind of this peachy colour. This one didn't come out as well. Again, I only have that single layer as that background, and it's a lot more kind of open. I would recommend, if you're gonna keep this open like this, just, you know, one of each size as a layer, I would add maybe a little bit of ink, maybe experiment adding some just extra color just to give it a little bit more sort of depth. So I'm just going to add my embossed background here. Again, I'm just using some regular craft glue, and I'm going to add that onto my card. So as I said, a really simple card, not much in the way of sort of matte and layering and things like that. But, you know, you don't always have to create kind of really busy cards. I've added those foliage again with that same craft glue. So again, with the foam, I'm not 100% sure how well this will stick. It seems to have stuck pretty decent, but you know, if you're putting something through the post, maybe you want to use a better kind of glue. For adding these flowers, as I said earlier, I've used some of this construction glue. I've just bent the kind of ends of the stamen, so the loops at the back, I've kind of moved them to one side, and I've used this construction glue as kind of a 3D kind of glue around those stamens to keep them in place, and of course then to actually be able to have it stick to the card. This is a really good glue, it's not moved, but again, maybe if you've got a hot glue gun, that might be a much easier way of getting your flowers to stick. So I'm just sticking these straight over that foliage. So again, I mean, we could have used some green cardstock, you know, rather using the foam up. So this is a really great way of being able to kind of add lots of different elements that you might already have and just creating something really beautiful. So to finish this card off, I'm going to add a really simple hello sentiment on here. This is the Simon Says stamp Hello Dies. This was done by CZ Design. So this comes with the word and the shadow. I'm just using the word on this card today. I haven't used any really of my Simon Says stamp products for a little while. For whatever reason, I am not sure, but I thought I'd pull it out for this card here. So I've die cut this hello from some black cardstock, and I die cut it twice, and I've glued them together, so I've created a little bit of a stack. And I just used again some of that regular craft glue. I'm going to add some more onto the back of this, and then I can add it to my card. So the bottles I'm using, I was going to mention this in kind of not really a haul video because I didn't get sort of too much crafting stuff for Christmas, but I did get these Crafter's Companion bottles. They come with these pins. So I had the fine tips from one of the prizes, the Card Maker of the Year competition. That was a sticks to everything. The glue that I was using for that, I've actually run out now, so I'm on the hunt for some more glue. I've just added some of this Premier Craft glue though into these bottles, and it's got the fine tip, so it really helps with kind of this sort of precision that you need for sort of word dies and things like we've got here. So you can see I've literally just stuck that onto a card. That is going to be our finished card with these two flowers on here. I do really love how easy it was to create these flowers. Again, this was more just a look at how to create the flowers. We've created just a really simple card here. But again, I think it's going to take a little bit of practice to really nail these kind of flowers and get them to look kind of as realistic, if that's of course what you're going for. But again, I'd experiment, add some colour, use the foam, use whatever you've got in your stash. Some patterned papers would be beautiful. And yeah, just have a go at adding some more details to this. But you can see just how kind of 3D these actually are, and they're really, really beautiful. So hopefully this video has helped if you have bought this issue of Die Cutting Essentials and you want more of a visual kind of tutorial of how to create these flowers. It's got the instructions, the hints and the tips in the magazine itself, but hopefully this will encourage you just to have a go. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and happy crafting.